Welcome to Daily Armor. Today is going to be a short devotion. I've got just something on my heart, and I'm going to divide it up into probably about 5 days, because I just can't seem to explain it all in one passage or one devotion. And I want to ponder on it some more. I want to just keep reminding myself about this one concept, and this one concept is being content. And it's something that I realized that I'm content. And that's a really wonderful place in life to be. And then something would come up and I would be like thinking, well, I need this. And I'm like, no, I don't. I didn't need it yesterday. I didn't have it today. It means I don't have to have it tomorrow. It's not going to be the end of the world. Just be content. And so I want to start looking at a passage in Luke chapter 3, verse 14. The whole concept, it's not all about contentment. This is John the Baptist, and he's preaching. And you're going to see from verses 7 through verse 20, if you read that whole, and I'm not going to read all of it, I'm concentrating on verse 14. But if you read the whole context of his message, you're going to see that he is preaching Jesus. He's preaching about the Messiah. And you're going to see that some accept it, many accept it, and then you'll see some at the end, the King Herod, he rejects it, and ends up throwing John the Baptist in prison over it, because it's making him feel uncomfortable. He's feeling guilty. He is guilty. But the message is not about being guilty. It's about accepting the guilt and then accepting forgiveness. But I want to talk about is how that some of the soldiers responded. Likewise, they're hearing the same message. He's making it public before everyone. And I want you to notice what the soldiers ask, that they're turning to the message, and then how John the Baptist responds. And let's look at verse number 14. And the soldiers likewise demanded of him, saying, this is the soldiers were asking John the Baptist, this is who they're talking to, and what shall we do? So they're not rejecting it, or they wouldn't be asking this kind of question. And the whole point is this: you can't earn your salvation, you can't earn forgiveness, but there is evidence of forgiveness, of being forgiven, of wanting that forgiveness. First of all, you don't want to go down those same paths. You don't want to do that same thing. You don't want to go right back to it. Well, and it's because some people say, I'm sorry, but they're really not sorry. They're just sorry they got caught, because they're going to tell a lie, because they're going to manipulate something about the situation. So they're going to convince themselves, well, I didn't have any other choice. My husband used to be really bad about that, about getting in a predicament and saying, well, I didn't have any other choice. And I'm like, yeah, honey, you did. I said, you could have just stopped or said no or waited. I said, there's so many other options. I said, you didn't, don't try not to get backed up into a corner. But then when you do, try to not give in to that, and think that you have to, that you didn't have any choice, that this was fixing to happen, that you're responding out of fear or frustration or whatever the case may be. And the soldiers here are asking this question. They're saying, what do we do now? They're accepting the message, but now how do we live? How do we live? So when you get saved, you're like, okay, Lord, maybe that you're a new Christian. Maybe you've been a Christian for a little while, and you've been kind of riding the fence or something, and you want to figure out, Lord, I don't want to ride the fence anymore. I don't want to try to hold hands with you and hold hands with the world. And the Lord said, a divided house will not stand. He said you cannot serve two masters, because you're not going to be faithful to one or the other. And so if you're somebody who is trying so hard to just break away from all of that, then think about what these soldiers are asking John the Baptist. How do we live now? Like, what do we do now? What do we do? I'm still a soldier. I've still got, I'm still going to be around the same kind of situations and scenarios. And this is how John the Baptist responds. Verse number 14. And the soldiers likewise demanded of him, saying, what shall we do? And he said unto them, do violence to no man. He's like, do your job. Don't get matters out of hand. Don't, you know, don't be, judge and jury and executioner and all that and take matters in your own hand. Pay attention to how you treat others. You can do your job. A police officer has to they have to take into custody somebody, but they don't have to. Their job is not to give them the punishment that they need. That is left up to the courts, and maybe if it's needed, left up to the judge and the jury, and the things decide what's to be done and how this person's to be punished. But a police officer is not allowed permitted to take matters into his own hands, even though they might want to, even though it might be something hideous and they're like, oh my goodness, this person needs to pay for his crime. Of course he does. But we're going to go through the court system. We're going to let the judge decide their fate. Let the judge, the one true, holy, righteous judge, decide. We don't take matters into our own hands. So do violence to no man, neither accuse any falsely. So don't tell lies. Don't lie on somebody to try to get them out of trouble. Don't lie on somebody to get yourself out of trouble. Do not accuse men falsely, and be content with your wages. Be content with your wages. And I was thinking about that. What an odd thing to say, be content with your wages. But then I was thinking, oh, I bet a lot of these soldiers were offered bribes, that were enticed. Well, if you let me go, I'll give you this. Or even if you'll go hunt that one down. No, they're not guilty. This is a false accusation, but I want you to arrest them. I want you to, I want you to beat that person. When you catch them, I want you to give them a beating before you turn them over to the authorities. And they were accustomed to taking bribes because and why would you do that? Why would you do that? Because you're not content with what you have. You're not content with the wage that you've been given. And we have to be content with what we have. And as yesterday was kind of a big day for Todd and I with some budget things, we realized we're content with what we have. We're content with what was given, and we're going to work within that. That's because that's what's been laid before us. We're going to work within that budget. And it may mean that we have to hold back here, but then it means we also might mean that we're going to be able to save here or whatever. But we're going to adjust our budget based on what we have, what our wages are, and we're content with that. And if the Lord chooses to do something different down the road, whether He takes it away, whether He adds to it, that's up to the Lord. But right now, we realized we are very, very content with where we are. We're content to save. We're content to, work within, this budget. And so that's what John the Baptist was telling these soldiers. He was saying, okay, don't be violent. You gotta restrain some people sometimes, but don't do anything don't only do what you have to. Don't lie. Don't be a liar. Don't make false accusations. Don't do it to save your butt. Don't do it trying to save somebody else's butt. And be content with your wages. Be content with what you've been given. Because then if you're content, then you're going to be happy with what you have. And then you're going to be, when somebody says, well, I'll give you this, you're like, no, I don't need your money, because it comes with strings, because it comes with circumstances, because it comes with, you're wanting me to do something that the Lord God Himself does not want me to do, does not want me to take part in, and I don't want to have any part in it. So I'm not going to be looking, if we're content with what we have, if you're content with what you have, then you're not going to be looking enticed by the world it's not going to be as enticing. There's always going to be some enticement, but you're going to be able to be strong enough to say no, because if you're content with what you have. And I'm thankful that Todd and I are in a place, and it is so wonderful. So wonderful. Contentment. I mean, read the definition of just look up being, contentment. It means to be happy. It means to be satisfied. And that's such a wonderful place to be, and to be satisfied with what you have, with what you have to work with. Not always saying, but if I just had a little bit more, we could do this. If I just had a little bit over here, we could do that. No, I'm content with what I have, with working within the budget that I've been given. I think it's fun, it's exciting, it's a blessing, and I'm just happy with what we have. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon.